Hey folks, Lachlan here again. In the comments of a community post that I made on YouTube yesterday, a commenter asked me why I feel so confident in criticizing the ANC and its actions over the last 30 years, but I haven't spoken out or given my opinion about the actions of AfriForum. For anyone who does not know, AfriForum is a civil society group with a largely Afrikaans membership that advocates for the rights and interests of Afrikaans people in South Africa. They have been embroiled in controversy lately because they have made several formal requests of the Trump administration to intervene in the situation here in South Africa with regard to land expropriation. I want to be clear about this so that I dispel any confusion or misunderstanding. I do not agree with nor support the actions of AfriForum in approaching Donald Trump and his administration to interfere in South African affairs. While, yes, I do believe that the international community should be made aware of what is happening in South Africa and the ANC's increasingly authoritarian behavior, I do not believe that AfriForum was correct in seeking to have Donald Trump and his administration directly take action against the ANC in the way that they did. Because even in the comments of my own recent videos, I have now seen people expressing the hope that Donald Trump will send the American army here to, I don't know what they imagine that the American army is going to do, but I get the impression that there are people among us now who hope that Donald Trump will send a military force here to overthrow the South African government. Let me be clear about this as well. Foreign military intervention by the United States is not a long-term solution. We cannot simply become a vassal state or a colony of the United States of America, nor does America have the legal or moral authority to act in that way. There is something I want to be clear about. In the wake of Donald Trump's executive order canceling US aid to South Africa and stating an intention to offer refugee status to Afrikaners, AfriForum was blamed for the loss of US aid to South African NGOs. That is flatly untrue. AfriForum is not directly responsible to South Africans for the loss of US aid because that has been Trump's policy all over the world. Trump has been cutting international aid to many countries in many areas. And the reason he's been doing that is that one of the primary platforms on which he ran and was re-elected to the office of president was that he promised to put America first. In real terms, what that means is that America needs to stop spending money on projects that don't directly benefit American citizens. A lot of South Africans don't like hearing this, but we as South Africa are not entitled to American money. The idea that large parts of our healthcare system are funded by foreign aid, primarily, is a ridiculous model to be working with. It may not be popular for me to say this, but if South Africa can't stand on its own, we can't continually be running to America as a big brother and saying, please give us money, we need your money, we're poor. No, if South Africa wants to be seen as a sovereign nation, as people like Ramaphosa keep saying, then we need to be able to stand on our own 2 feet and take care of our own problems. And that is also why I strongly disagree with what AfriForum did in its approach to the Trump administration. The leaders of AfriForum are not stupid, in my opinion. They must have known that by making formal and public requests for intervention from the United States government, they must have known that in doing that, they would cause chaos in this country from a political perspective. Now, AfriForum doesn't do itself any favors because the media in this country, as well as the political class, like to imply and often outright state that it is an organization that stands for colonialism and white supremacy. I, for the record, do not believe AfriForum to be a white supremacist group. I don't think that there is anything wrong with having a group to advocate for the rights of Afrikaners in this country. They are, after all, a minority. However, I do think that in many of its public behaviors, AfriForum is irresponsible and causes more division among our people than is necessary or productive. I previously made a whole video on the subject of why I probably can't ever be a refugee in America, but just for the sake of this video, I would like to say that I have serious concerns over the idea of Afrikaners being given refugee status in America, purely because I don't think the American immigration services have the necessary knowledge to properly qualify what an Afrikaner is and how to decide who deserves refugee status and who does not. I say this purely because what an Afrikaner is somewhat difficult to define, and there is disagreement, even in South Africa, about what constitutes an Afrikaner. I myself am of partially Afrikaans heritage on my father's side, even though my primary language has always been English. But I do have a large number of relatives who are Afrikaners. Add to that the fact that many people in South Africa who speak Afrikaans as a first language are not white. I'm speaking specifically of large numbers of South Africa's colored population. So the question then becomes, are colored South Africans worthy of refugee status if they attempt to claim it? This is why assigning refugee status along arbitrary racial lines is not particularly productive, efficient, or helpful. And that, I believe, you can lay at the feet of AfriForum. I believe I understand why they did what they did, but I do not agree in any way with how they went about it. I hope that this clarifies any questions about my stance on the issue. Look after yourselves, take care of each other, no matter your race or identity, and for now, farewell.